All right. Welcome, everyone. We'll begin our work session. I was just saying to Doral that some of the I'm on the agenda as giving a presentation on this proposed amendment to the interlocal agreement between the City of Woodland Hills and Utah Local Governments Trust. And I believe that everyone got the email that offers some explanation. And as far as I'm concerned, the email is the only information I actually have concerning this. I don't know if anybody has any objections to the proposed amendment. If not, Jody, am I correct in that we need to pass a resolution? Oh, okay, this is just for. Okay, very good. So, but I also had hoped that maybe if there are any on the council, or maybe Chris, if you have something that you can add to shed further light, if you have any concerns about this reorganization. I didn't see any trouble with it, any problem with it, but I don't have a whole lot of experience to necessarily inform that opinion. So
I don't have anything. I've looked through it, and I've talked to our rep too and our agent. But it looks like it's well past time to do something rearranging.
Okay. All right. Well, anybody else have any thoughts or comments or questions? All right. Well, that was easy. Move on to item 2, city grants. UDOT and ARPA.
Okay.
Gary?
We're going to go forward with the committee and see what's happening. But as I talked between last council meeting and now, I guess I need to turn the light on, sorry. Between last council meeting and now, Jody told me that we needed to revamp the committee that we already had in place in 2021 as a committee, not an ad hoc. So I've been contacting those people that were already on the committee approved by the council back then. And then there were a few people who reached out to me after our town hall meeting that wanted to be included. And so I didn't see that for the vote tonight, but I will have it that list to you for a vote next time. And then on the ARPA, we were still going to
Before we go, so there already is a committee then? So you just.
We put it on hold after, so Bob and I had the committee in 2021 and we met monthly during that time period. And that's when we first started looking at getting the grant and everything else. And then after we submitted the grant, there was nothing to do but wait. And then by the time we got it, 9 months later, then we had new council, we had new mayor, we had new everything. And we were also starting to do some more with other areas of the city. We started that process with the with talking with RCC and Allegiant to kind of get going, and then we put that on hold. And so now we're just going to try to revamp to make sure those people are still involved, because they were involved at the very, very beginning of the whole discussion, and then kind of see where we're going and how best to get these RFPs out.
Okay, and so for what we need on the agenda, you'll be presenting it.
The names.
The members, okay.
Yeah, just
gotcha.
to ratify, I mean, the original members were already put before the council back then. I don't even remember. Bob, they weren't? I thought it was in 2021 they were put before the council. Okay.
So Bob wanted to start this group, and it was kind of just a group of residents getting together to figure out how possibly to spur commercial businesses in Woodland Hills. It was never formally a committee. They met about 3 times, and in that time you also had introduced someone who could help do some visioning. But I don't have.
We met more than 3 times.
Then it must have
But
been off the
well, we
radar.
didn't do committees like we do them now. Back then, we were just
So
barely starting to have those extra committees. So, but we met quite a few times. I could get out my notes from those meetings, but And it wasn't just about commercial. I mean, Ben came to a few of them because he was interested, and we had a good group here that would come, but we were never formal. I thought we were formal.
I've not seen a charter for
Okay.
them or, and I
My
think that's
memory
kind of
says
why
was
it,
Pretty ad hoc, just pretty loose.
Okay,
And,
So-
and is there what was the reason you didn't want to do, because the only thing I'm trying to be protective of is just Jody's. time.
right. That's
So-
why I wanted to do ad hoc. She wasn't sure that we could do that. Even though there's no decision making going on, it's just to organize. It's just to, hey, let's get together. Let's figure out to organize it. Let's get these RFPs out. Let's bring it to the council. Let's figure all of the logistics. I just can't do.
so
four
the
full-time jobs.
RFP
sure.
is
So-
where we come into play because you would be writing an RFP that would then go out to bid, which means those need to be open
Right.
meetings,
and-
which then,
I think this is how UTA got in trouble too. Was they had ad hoc meetings that they didn't have minutes and everything, but they were making, those ad hoc groups were making recommendations to UTA, and that therefore became essentially a decision.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
I
what-
think we got to tread
Okay.
carefully there.
So let's just plan on doing that next time, and I'll write that up, and then we can get started. And because I really I have to report on it all the time, and I keep saying we haven't done anything yet. We haven't done anything. We did spend a considerable amount of money to rural consultants for the work that they had done prior to us stopping everything last fall. And so we did pay their invoice, and that's all that we've spent so far. But I want to get the RFPs out there and get started so that at least we have the summer to get organized. So by fall, we can have these meetings, these public meetings. So I'll get that together so that we can vote. And ARPA, I was trying to get with Mark Sylvine, and I still haven't had a chance to talk about if they were interested, if Public Works was interested in having a subcommittee that would kind of keep an eye on the state's new committee that is just focused on water infrastructure money. And supposedly, I talked to some people at the state, and supposedly we would qualify as rural if we say the right wording. So I'm hopeful that with Mark's background in water and then connecting with some of those other people, we can find out exactly how to do that so we can navigate the ARPA funds and maybe get a decent match.
Great.
If not, we'll just have to find something else to spend it on because what we have will not cover even 2 inches of a water line. So,
That'll be a nice shiny new 2 inches. though.
yeah. Well, let's do it in front of let's not do it in front of my house because then we wouldn't have water enough to fix the road either. So,
All right.
that's all.
Very good. Thanks, Carrie. Fire. Doral.
Just, I think everyone knows, we did not get the grant for SCBA's, but we have obtained and we have in our possession SCBA's from a fire department up north who upgraded. And these new ones that we obtained from them are good until 2026. So we're in good shape with air to our firefighters for several years here. So that's kind of good.
Great.
And no other fire grants that I'm aware of in process. So
Okay. Thank you. Parks, Trails, and Recreation. Janet?
Yeah, we got the grant. Got a little letter and it says that it's their pleasure to inform us that we got a mini grant to the Woodland Hills Parks, Trails and Recreation Committee in the amount of $2,500. It's been approved for the switchback trail. So
So
it's not a ton of money, but gives us a little bit to do couple benches and some signage and a little work up on the trail. So good job,
Great.
Sherry.
Yep.
Yes.
Well done.
that's good. Is there a match?
We have to spend it first and then they reimburse.
Oh, that's okay.
And there is a match. So, but it can be in kind, right? Or is it all? Yeah. So
Do we know what the match is? How much the match is?
Isn't it the same? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't say on here, so anyway.
Wonderful.
Yeah, very good. Okay, anything else?
No, that's it on that.
All right, thank you. Okay, city council reports. Councilmember Hilliard.
Public Works, we haven't really met since the last report, though, you know, we've had some fun, exciting things going on with the roads here in Woodland Hills.
Oh, you mean that big hole?
Yeah. Corbett and I had some fun. Corbett did most of the work though, and Mark Sovine. But it was very much needed as water was going down the street. And so it is what it is. But Corbett's been on it, and yeah, we're moving along there. Is that, have you been able to patch that yet, or is that still on the docket? There you go. We
Okay.
need $800 for asphalt patch.
So you put the fill in today though, right? I saw you.
Anyway, we can get him a mic.
Oh,
We can't hear him.
Chris can't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
So I got it backfilled today, compacted, plates put back on it. I got a quote from 801 Asphalt. I'm still waiting for a quote from Eccles Paving. 801 Asphalt was $800. If Eccles is cheaper, then obviously we'll go with them. But as soon as I get approval for the asphalt money, then I'll saw cut the rest of it to dress up the hole, and then they'll come up and peel out the rest of the asphalt, move the plates, peel out the rest of the asphalt, dress it up with the road base that's left on the side of the road on East Spring, and then they'll do the asphalt patch and then haul off all of the garbage.
Awesome.
I have a question.
Why do we need to approve anything?
Yeah, I don't think that you need approval. I just think that you just need to keep us in the loop on, I mean, it's something like that. I mean, I know there's inconsistency here, but I don't want things like that to get hung up. But, you know, when we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, I think that, you know, those sorts of things. So I don't,
Just tell me what to do.
yeah,
Go do it.
I think $800 is in your spending authority.
yeah.
Well, it's not, because I think mine is limited at $500.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's definitely within the mayor's spending authority.
Yeah.
It's under
Well,
Chris's as well.
Yeah, no, and for that reason, I mean, I know there's been some discussion as to, you know, whether it, you know, as a general budgetary matter, I mean, you guys hold the purse strings, but I think that to the extent you need approval from me, consider this it. So as far as that goes, but I agree with Dave's point that I don't want it to be something where you feel like you have to come for every single thing, but I just think communication really is the key, is just making sure that we're all on the same page so there's no surprises.
I have kind of a question. As you saw, we used some of our flood sandbags to fill in the potholes at the roundabout, just because they're getting so bad. And I know part of that is county responsibility.
All of it.
Oh.
All of it.
But the part that's just on this side by the church, that's
All of it.
ours, right? On the road, just,
All of it.
I know, all of it. I know, but I'm saying the part that's on our road is not on Woodland Hills
That's-
Drive up
It's
from
not our
the
road.
roundabout.
So I've looked really carefully at those. And
How far up
roughly-
does it come up?
Roughly, you know how you've got kind of the arrow point?
Uh-huh.
Our road starts after the arrow point.
Okay, so,
And those are at the very tip of the arrow point. And so it's county.
right,
It's
so
all
we,
county.
so we put those sandbags in there just to try to help, and I know it's kind of ghetto looking. But we were getting quite a few people saying,
For what it's
what
worth, they
about?
work.
They were working, but
Yeah.
it's still kind of, so who, and I
The
know
one
we've-
broke
we've-
immediately.
Yeah, they, as soon as people drove on them, they broke up, but,
It's
were-
still sand in the hole.
yeah, they're standing in the hole. So, I know you've probably called county to say this is a problem. Do we need to also, do I need to call somebody? I know, they say they'll get to it and they're really busy with flooding and everything else around, but maybe I'll just make a call to see if we can get it done. Because it's getting worse and worse and there's more and more
It's
and
bad.
it's really bad.
Agreed.
So I just didn't want to step on any toes if you had already, had something in the work.
I
Yeah.
was going to applaud whoever did the sandbags because that was a good job.
Yeah, we had Mylan do it because we had some extra sandbags and we're like, hey, just throw these in the truck and go put those out. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Back to you, Ben.
Perfect. Excellent. Parks, Trails, and Recreation. We've already talked about the grant. So just logistics there to now get it moving. And we'll work on that probably, I'm assuming, in our next meeting
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. Perfect. Okay. And yeah, we're working on a few other things there, but nothing really on my end to report. Janet has it as well, so she'll probably give you more information.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Kinnison, Public Safety.
All right, we held a robust, exciting, well-attended public safety meeting, and we have another one scheduled on the 15th of June. Just tell you about a couple of issues. We had fireworks at the end of Vista Circle about a week ago again that citizens reported. And turns out the camera that's supposed to be in the SESD bin that catches license plates going into there, it was stolen. Chief Northup told me. So we're looking at other options for cameras to do Vista and Eagles Nest. And Carrie was going to talk to family about that. There's some knowledge over there that she'll report on if she can learn about that. I'll let Carrie talk about sandbags when she's up. We have our new truck. We got pictures today, the one that's being built in Florida. It'll be ready June 13th. So that's an exciting time that's coming up on us.
Doral, how is that delivered? Do you guys have to go and
fly
drive
there? We fly there and we do an inspection. We drive around. They have an area there where you can really exercise the trucks, sharp turns, brakes, starting, stopping.
Yeah.
And just really work it over. We found problems with our previous truck doing that. And so 3 of us are flying there and driving it home. And that gives us a chance to break it in and work out any bugs, if there are any. So
That's a nasty amount of miles right out of the gate, but
we've,
okay.
I think the max speed's 55, so we're good, It'd be real.
It'll only take you 6 weeks. to get
Last
back.
year we did it last time, 13 years ago, we did it in December. So we stayed south and then came up,
Perfect. Thank
from-
you.
From
Now,
that.
when will you, what time, when are you gonna go get
Well,
it?
probably mid-June. If it's ready the 13th, they might want to check it out for a few days, but then we'll go as soon as they tell us. And so it'll be mid-June. We're pretty sure we'll have it. We are going to have Carrie schedule for us some Everbridge training. Some of us in the city send messages out, and there's a lot to that system that we don't know how to use. And so we're gonna take them up on offering to train us again. So there might be others in the city that you want to have trained on Everbridge. Yeah.
Make a recommendation there.
Mhm.
Why don't you do it over Zoom? And then record the Zoom session.
Well, we
do
could,
that.
or just record it maybe in person, because
Yeah.
probably county EM wants to come live and do it. So,
Well, I'm just saying,
well, they don't, I think part of it is because only so many people can have it, so they don't want it just to be, I mean, it's a long process to get approved to use it, so I don't think they want it just out there.
This kind
Well,
of training
no,
isn't
that-
general.
not suggesting that.
Oh.
By having a recording does not mean you need to share said recording.
Uh-huh.
It just means you have the recording And if we get one of those few people replaced or whatever, we then have the training we can let them watch.
I'll ask Peter if it is.
That's all
It
I'm
would,
saying.
it would be
Okay,
nice, and
I'll
I'd be
ask him.
willing to record it if he was okay with that. But
Okay,
I like the idea because we have changeover
yeah.
and that's a complicated system,
yeah.
actually.
I'll
at least
I'll
for
ask him
newbies.
if it can be recorded.
Well, and of course, it'll change and so forth, but I'm just saying, I record a lot of things
Mhm.
in my day job and
Yeah.
for that very reason.
It might be.
And we do not share it.
Right, it might be something with the contract. I don't know. I'll just ask. It doesn't
Okay.
hurt to
It's-
ask. right?
Last training I went in there with Whitner was very informal. It's a little bit haphazard, but it would still
Mhm.
help us remember some of the things, that
Yeah,
I like
Even if
that
you
idea.
forget, you could go back and review
Yeah, I
it.
kind of like it.
That's
Right.
helpful too.
I'll ask him.
My last item is chipping is happening,
Woohoo.
starting the 31st and going through June 8th. So
Good thing I already got
Piles.
a pile.
piles can be put near the road now.
They're
Not,
starting to happen.
Yep.
yeah, good. So we're excited about that happening. And I think that's all I have.
Doral, can I just add one thing to yours, just by way of communication? And that is the trip for those three going out to pick the fire truck up is included in the cost. So we won't see that coming through the city coffers.
And who,
What about all of our hearty partying?
Well, the blankets you'll stop at the Navajo Nation and buy, that's on your own, buddy. So
Yeah, like last time.
Red on red.
so who actually will be going?
This time, there's been 2 trips. The other one was Craig, John Wallace, and Chris Helvey. This one will be Craig, Ted, and myself. And I wish we had a 4th, but I'd be willing to pay my own trip if we could get another one to go with us. It's just a huge experience in life to get to drive a fire truck that far and bring it home. And you get really and it's just a neat experience that you don't ever get over. But anyway, I'll just be talking to Ted about that and may even give up my spot for one of the new people if he deems it would be advantageous to them.
So Craig, Ted, and Doral.
Yeah, and Craig needs to go because he's ideal for inspecting some details that he knows about, that he helped build the thing from the ground up. And so Craig's willing to do it and he would be good to have out there.
the truck was literally booked out bolt by bolt almost. I mean, it was
You
8
or-
hours of painstakingly going
You
through.
order them from the ground up. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and that's all I have, I think.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilmember Lunt.
Okay, so we had a board meeting it's not on there, but we had a board meeting for South Valley Animal Shelter today. They're doing pretty good, not quite as full as they were, which is good. And we just went through the budget and approved it. And she does a really good job, the director there. She's really tight with the budget and just does a good job managing everything. They actually have inmates that work there now. So they had a hard time hiring enough people to work there. So they have through their work release program. And so we were asking her how is that going? And she said, well, you get some good ones, you get some bad ones. And she said, when you get a really good one, then, you're because oftentimes they get released and then they're not. And it's kind of well, hope we get to see you again. But it's under bad circumstances, right? So anyway, kind of funny, but that was good. And then for Parks, Trails, and Recreation, I do have 2 names to submit for 2 new members. John Wallace, he resigned. And so Dennis Lisenby has agreed to be a member. He will be on the executive board. And so we'll need to vote to approve him, I guess, next time.
Okay.
So I'm presenting his name. And then the other name I want to present, we have another member of the executive board. We're going to look at the bylaws, but he hasn't been in a long time. And when I asked him if he still wanted to be involved, he was pretty wishy-washy about it and didn't really have the time. So I talked to Mike Slater, and he has agreed to be on, and he works for the DNR. So that will be, he has a lot of knowledge. I think that will be really good, and that will add a lot of value to
Right.
PTR. So that's another name I'd like to present for the executive committee. And then we'll figure out the other member that hasn't been, and we'll just talk to him some more and before we do anything with him. But those two I'd like to present for that. And then for city events and volunteers, it was Pick on Mike weekend on Saturday. So Mike and Rhonda Slater are going to be they're going to be over Woodland Hills Days.
Oh, nice.
So they're the chairs for Woodland Hills Days. He said yes to all of it. It must have been a good day for me.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's the key is I guess ask all at once.
Right, I know. I told him, I said, either or you can pick or choose or say no to all of it. And he surprisingly said yes to all of it. So we're excited. Mike and Rhonda they did Woodland Hills, Jody said early 2000s. They've done it before. So they have some experience. They want to bring back some old events, things that have kind of fallen away over the years. And I'm thinking I'd like to add like maybe a 3-on-3 tournament again. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I kind of know a guy that might could hit that. I don't know. So,
As a coach or a player?
Ace
well, all of the above.
A17 is what he'll do.
Yeah, have a bracket and the whole bit. He
Just
does
his
it all the
boys.
time. It would just be more work for him, but it's okay. He can do it. And then finance committee, we just have been working on the budget. So
Okay,
that's it.
great, thank you. Councilmember Malkovich.
It was supposed to go out this morning, but I thought I should just wait till council meeting and send it out tomorrow morning in case any of you have anything to put in it. Maybe I can put in a couple of the things that you just mentioned. I'll put in about the grant so people know that we have that. Do any of you else have anything that you would like me to include?
Do you need more stuff?
No, but I'm just asking to
Okay.
just to ask, but I have other things, but I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Sometimes people send me things and I can know to put it in, and sometimes you say afterwards, I should have put that in. So I thought I'd just give you that opportunity.
We should.
We're gonna, some of the stuff that we put in the newsletter, we hold over for the next time if it's still something that's, going on. So we've been saving the date for chipping. So now we've added more of that. Janet sent me something about the vaccination clinic. So that's in there. Do a thank you for those who participated in the expo because we had a lot of safety stuff in there the last few times. So we'll be able to just come back and say, thanks for coming. We're keeping, with the permits are needed and that whole thing that got written up by Greg Witt and that Jody went through, and we'll kind of reference the business licenses. And so we'll do business license and permits because people are starting to do yard work and building things. So we'll have those two things in there. We'll say congratulations to our graduates. Graduation is on the 23rd. So we'll put something in about that. Now I'll include about save the date for Woodland Hills Day and anything else that seems to be that comes out when we're talking. I just normally put that
Chipper?
kind of things. Yeah, and I already said Chipper Day.
Okay, I
Yeah,
missed
because we've
that.
been putting save the date. So now I can put in all
Okay.
the details
Okay.
of that. But yeah, that's basically what's going to be in there.
So, yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Yep.
Sometimes
And-
there's so much, it's hard to
I will
remember
do
all of
that.
it.
Yeah. I
And
have a
he-
little book. I just write everything in, and then when it's time to put it together, it's just easy to. So that's a great idea. Thank you. And then,
Might
as,
be fun to do a little bio on him.
yeah, he's not here tonight, but I'll reach out to him and just put a little extra thing in
that
there.
would be great if you'd touch base with him.
Mhm.
He'll love
And,
that.
and then,
I know, that's
and
Engineer.
And then with emergency management, Dora already gave the report on our Public Safety Council meeting. I'm going to follow up on a couple of the items that I was given. Other people will follow up on theirs. We did have a great expo. Lots of people came. We had a lot of positive feedback from people, and the vendors were happy. They all felt like it was worth it to be here. The kids, of course, love the helicopter, even though it's blowing you away. And but it was good. We're going to have a, what do you call it? Debrief, probably the first or second week of June before our next Public Safety Council meeting, so that everyone can just say, this worked, this didn't work. What do we want to do different next time? Because while we were all sitting there, Rachel's like, oh, next time let's do this. And then, you know, Aaron's saying, oh, next time let's do this. So I said, let's just sit down and talk over all that while it's fresh on everybody's mind. But because of graduation and everything else, it doesn't work in the next couple of weeks. So we said, first time before June, and I said, before the Public Safety Council meeting. We had a Saturday where we handed out sandbags. We had probably 15 different families come and get sandbags. We still have a few left over that if anybody needs them, but I don't think they will. But we have some, so we might need to figure out what to do with those. Put them in the hot pool.
It's cheaper.
I was able to go to a meeting with we meet pretty frequently. Every Monday we have a briefing on just what's happening in the state. And then on Tuesdays, usually I go to Salt Lake for a special meeting. And then we have a meeting with the county probably twice a month. And then just to keep us up to date, but one of our last ones, we met with the hydrologist who talked a little bit more about some of the runoff and potentially what we might see. Right now, we'll feel good about where we're at. So that's good. For the rest of the council, Mayor already knows this. We had a meeting with Congressman Owens. He came here and we met with him to talk about the culvert issue that we talked about before and the funding. And so people from Payson also came because they have a bigger problem than we do with it. But we're able to present what the problem is for us in our two cities, and then the engineers were able to Ted gave an excellent presentation. It was basically the same thing that he gave us. They asked some additional questions and asked for some letters. And so the engineers have sent in all of the issues. It came down when they looked at it that it was a definition in the glossary of real property. And that's what prevents the culverts from being covered. I mean, something really stupid that somebody in some office in DC found it and said, oh, this is what that means. And so he's going to go back and see if we can get that changed. I sent you, Mayor, and Jody a little note a little bit ago with a letter of support, just letting them go forward, trying to figure it out. Nothing that commits us to anything, but just says we had the discussion and the culverts are a mess. Other than that, I think we're just going to go forward and keep an eye on things, but we're having a good slow melt. Oh, Doral, the fence got put up around the catch basin, and so that was a problem a little while ago, but it doesn't seem like there's any additional problems there.
The fence was a problem too.
The debris fence, oh, that's good to know, and good for you to point out. I had it did not come down. So although the avalanche came to it, it was not destroyed. It was just covered, really, really covered. And so once all of the snow is melted, we can have someone go up and actually see if it's still, if the strength is still what it's supposed to be. Not that we are going to do anything if it's not, because we can't afford it, but just to make sure that if it's something little, but it's still intact. Thanks for bringing that part up. I forgot about that.
Great. Thanks, Gary. Councilmember Pratt?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment that I got more complaints than I've ever gotten about that fence around that.
I did too.
I got quite a few.
And
People are really unhappy about it.
It's down, right? I mean,
Well, it amazes me that caused a stir with even one person. I only heard about the one, but there are other solutions that we could do now that one of the guys that helped build what is there, put the posts in, he suggested something about making it so that it only gets up to 2 feet deep. And that way we wouldn't need a fence. But when it's 10, 15 feet deep, I'm going to put the fence up again. I'm going to vote we do that. It's up to us. But it's just so dangerous. You can't have that happen in the city without taking care of it, in my view. But there are other solutions besides a fence. But
Does it have, what kind of drainage does it have?
slow.
Get that
like it's
permission.
supposed
Because I
to.
was thinking that it maybe that's one thing we could have Ted look at is if the drainage is, because we don't want it to drain too fast, but we want it to
Well-
drain fast enough. And if it just takes putting a different
The-
pipe
the-
or
The
something.
right way
I
to
don't
do
know.
it is to put a drain in the bottom
Mhm.
that's funneled to a certain amount to let it
Right.
out. And you don't let it get deeper than 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah,
Or you need a fence. But we just go in there with a backhoe and dig a trench, put a pipe in, put a grate in the middle of it. And when it got to a certain level, you put the grate at a certain level so that it would just start flowing out of that. But the basin becomes kind of, it doesn't help as much as compared to what it is right now, because it really will catch a big burst of water.
But
like
it's
they
never
do
had
when it's
water in
supposed to
it
do.
ever before, right?
But it
Like,
will
this is-
again.
but I'm just-
Every
I'm- no,
year,
No, I'm just asking.
We're
This is the
we're
first time.
directing more water there. Every year, we direct more of that oak water over to that,
but
so that it
remember, was
doesn't
built
flood the
for-
people
It
at
was
the
built to
bottom.
hold water. That's the whole reason it was there.
It was
built
supposed to
water.
catch it, and it never did until the work was done to divert water that direction instead of straight down Oak and flooding the heck out of those people at the bottom.
Yeah,
So-
it's a moving target in terms of the
And-
volume. So I think that a solution, the thing that, for me, I didn't appreciate how quickly it would drain. I mean, we were installing the fence. and
Yeah,
I thought it was-
basically
I
down
know.
to zero at that
I knew it
point,
would
so-
be, because that's what they told, when I asked about it, that it was going to be only a week or so, that it would be full.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I
It was
did
only
get,
full a couple days, I think.
yeah.
Well, if we get another big rainstorm, it'll catch some more.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean,
I
in
hope.
hindsight, there are some things that, you know.
Well,
could-
and like I
Well,
said,
consider.
more
So-
water needs to go toward there rather than
Yeah.
flooding the homes down at the bottom.
The argument that I finally came up with that worked was we spent less money on that fence than we would have spent in 1/2 hour of legal trouble. So just was like, anyway, anyway, not to speak too candidly, but it's kind of like the $800 asphalt patch, Look, just do it. It's, at some point, it just makes sense. I think, I don't know, the fence was a little bit weird to me. I would not have voted for it, but at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah, Corbett, did you have something?
Just clarification, we haven't diverted any water to that basin.
Craig and I have, we had a
Did you
whole
put-
bunch of water going down Oak that was turned that direction.
Yeah, but did you plug the culvert? Did you plug the culvert?
No,
On-
but there were plans. I don't know exactly what further Craig was thinking, but there was hope to divert all we could that direction.
Right, but until the culvert at the top of Oak Ridge Circle, where it comes around up at the top, that culvert's not plugged yet. And so all the water that's always gone down Oak, past Ron Cook and those guys, the only thing that we did was we cleaned the culverts underneath,
Oak Ridge Circle. No.
No.
Oak Ridge.
who's the guy that was a mechanic on the corner across the street from Paul MacArthur?
We know where you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Ken Heller.
Craig,
All we did
Craig
was-
cleaned that culvert too.
But we cleaned those culverts
So they
so
would-
that the water would go
Turn.
under his driveway.
Yep.
Instead of sheeting across Oak Ridge, it would go in the culvert under his driveway to the culvert that feeds to the basin.
Yep.
So the only reason there wasn't water in there before was because the culvert was plugged and the water sheeted across
Going the wrong
as
way.
it goes around Oak Ridge, and then it goes down to Marnie Hone and those guys down there. So all we did was clean the culvert so that the water would go to the basin that was supposed to go to the basin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it won't stay in there that long. I mean,
Yeah, we did find that out. I found that out.
Yeah.
That
Well, it actually drained,
fairly
it drained
quickly.
twice. I mean, it filled and then drained and then filled again.
Yeah.
So
But
it's doing it the
I
way it's
do
supposed to.
support, I mean, what it was a hazard, no question there. I mean, I thought it was a more permanent hazard than it turned out to be, but there's no doubt it was a hazard. And so,
Yeah,
we
but-
did what we did in response, and
anyway, again, my opinion is not every hazard justify, I mean, this whole mountain's a hazard in one way or another. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you circumvent it. Again, anyway, but we've spent more time talking about it than it was worth. So we did have a South Utah Valley Water Management meeting where we approved the budget, and Woodland Hills portion is $251.88. So, Chris, I hope we can handle that.
I'll go donate plasma.
All right, thanks. Anyway, that's it.
That's it? All right, thank you. Personnel, well, we're down a couple of people, but we have had, in terms of so with Shay, I've spoken with Jody, and for now, the feeling is that between Jody and Lori, the load can be borne, but I mean, it will be something that we'll look at to potentially reconsider. And then with respect to Craig, as all of you know, Wayne is acting as at least interim code enforcement officer, so we appreciate his willingness to step in and do that. And I think that Wayne has certainly an applicable skill set. So he's going to start cracking skulls. And no, I'm only kidding. But we do appreciate that, Wayne. And just as far as like some of the other roles that Craig played, obviously as fire chief, we've got Ted stepping in there. But we're just trying to make different priorities with respect to what he did and what he's no longer doing, and try to fill that void.
Did we
So,
find somebody to replace Mike?
Craig? No.
We still need.
Well, oh, Zach. Zach is coming in as a seasonal employee, but not as a permanent replacement for Michael.
Okay.
Oh, but that does, on the parks, we did talk about approaching you about potentially having someone that's on the committee maybe play some role in just monitoring the well-being and I mean, because I think that we've got someone that can do the heavy lifting.
Are you talking park stuff?
Park maintenance, yeah.
John
Like mowing
Stout,
the lawn.
like John
Yeah,
Stout does the
sprinklers.
irrigation.
Yeah, John Stout does he does the irrigation side of it. I think that it was mostly like,
Mowing the grass.
yeah. And I don't know if you've got someone
So
that
you
you think,
want me to mow the grass?
well, if you don't mind.
Sure you can.
I think we're budgeted
We
for
have
it.
a new lawnmower, so.
Yeah, well, we will.
Did you do it every Tuesday?
Yeah, before
Typically it was
events,
Thursday.
especially. But
I thought it snowplow guys did the grass after.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea
They
there,
switched
too.
they switched from snowplow to lawnmower.
Can I clock in when I do it?
Were we actually, were we doing that ourselves, or was that a contract that we had?
the mowing.
We
for
were
the
doing it.
mowing?
Yeah, Michael Prey. was
Michael
doing it.
did it.
Oh, I
Okay.
thought it was a contract.
Um,
Huh.
you might could get a certain, I don't know. Jamin, all through high school, did landscaping, so you might
Oh.
could get.
That's a great suggestion.
When he's not on a fire.
Yeah, and like right now, they don't, they're waiting for the third guy to, I don't know, I'm just saying, they're waiting for the third guy to, because he's a high school, senior, to get out before they do a lot of the training and different things, so they're kind of, and I guess,
He finishes school soon.
yeah, and their contract to clear the one resident's property isn't figured out yet, so they don't have a lot to do right at the moment. So I don't know, maybe they could go up there and do some work,
Okay.
just a
Yeah.
thought.
No, I appreciate
I could
that.
probably work with him as well and take if he's on a fire, I could probably hit it that week or something.
Or I could, I mean, we could.
Yeah, and I don't really even have a suggestion or a proposal, but it was something that was thrown out as maybe someone in that department or, yeah, the committee could.
Yeah,
maybe
we could,
lend a hand to.
Yeah.
that's how my kids all played sports and so they couldn't have a regular job. And so we actually started we had a landscaping company. I did all the bills. And the kids mowed. I think at one point they had like 48 lawns a week.
Oh, great.
Anyway, so
Well, consider them volunteered or hired maybe.
anyway, we
Because
can
I
talk
told-
about it
yeah,
and figure it out.
we
That's just a
should.
suggestion, something like that maybe.
And if we put it under the fire, it could be mitigation work of keeping the lawn down because it's going to be, you
A
know.
fire hazard.
Fire hazard.
Yeah, if it grows out for a
Just
few
stretching,
weeks.
just stretching.
That's a big stretch. And I don't know, but that's something to ponder.
That is something that we have been talking about is because of the increased snow and increased rain, to really be mindful of that increased grass growing. And by July, it's all going to be fire fuel. And to make sure in our ordinances, probably when it gets closer to that time, we'll put out a thing just to remind them that every resident has to keep so many feet. I think it's 5 or 10 feet from the road to their house, the grass down, so it's not a fire hazard if someone pulls over that overheats. And so they're supposed to do that, but there will probably be some other things that we might need to do in mitigation. I didn't see miscellaneous on here, but I had one resident approach me about an idea that he had. Well, a few residents are wanting to know if they could form not a city committee, just to get together as kind of a small, like, senior citizen group. To be able to use the big room and the kitchen for free once a month so that they can have a potluck and play cards and just hang out together and have some, common things to do. They just want it to be free and they want to maybe do it like games and, whatever. And just, they would plan their own activities. We would just put it on the calendar and then advertise it in our newsletter or whatever they could do, that they would just be using that for an hour or two once a month.
What do we charge, Shodi, for the building? Or what would we, how much? I mean, the one concern I have is it's hard to cut anybody special favors because where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think if it's non-exclusionary, then I think that's a different thing. than
Well,
if
they're
it's
not
only a
excluding
select
anybody
group.
because it's everybody in town would be anybody over a
A
certain
game
age.
night, like a game night, community game night kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing, but it's in the daytime.
How does it differ then from neighborhood, district meetings that they do affiliated with a church? Or I've had Alcoholics Anonymous groups want to meet here. How do we distinguish which groups we're going to allow and which ones we aren't without looking like we're playing favoritism?
I don't know,
Yeah.
just in other communities, the city actually pays for them to have a little, community center and senior citizen center. And I just think that people are craving community involvement, being together. And I don't want to inhibit that, especially if it's just our residents. I don't see where and if the building isn't being used, especially in the daytime, I don't see where it gets to be a big problem. But again, maybe I'm not looking at it in the same light, just because it would be all citizens, not outside groups, and it's not a big to-do. It's just, hey, we want to hang out and play cards or talk or have a potluck.
Wayne.
Historically, the wards, each ward, I know our ward has formed.
Yeah.
It's kind of been lapsed for a while, but they've just called a new husband and wife to be over empty
Empty
nester
nesters, yeah.
activities. And I think, again, my observation is there's, I think we'll have a hard time getting people who aren't acquainted with one another to come here. It might happen, but it's more conducive in a ward where they know one another, can interact, feel more freely and so forth. And so I'm not sure that's a need that's not being met if they want to do it at a ward level.
There were some people who felt like that would be better not to have it affiliated with church because not everyone feels comfortable. And sometimes those are the people that don't get invited to a lot of activities. And so they would rather open it up. They know their neighbors in their church, but they might not know their other neighbors and different. And this was brought to the attention to say, hey, we would like to know people in different areas. I mean, when I moved in, Woodland Hills was one ward, right? So everybody knew each other. Now we have 4. Not everybody knows each other anymore. And we have people who are new widows and they want to get out and about. And yeah, we have some empty nester groups that meet in the evenings. Some seniors don't like driving at night anymore. So this is just an idea
So I
that
think,
a group came to me and said, hey, would you put this out there? So that's what I'm doing.
so I think it either has to be city affiliated or not. I don't like dancing in the gray.
That's fine.
And if it's city affiliated, then I can see using the building without expense. If it's not city affiliated, then I think that's where the rental fee comes in.
I kind of like the idea. I tend to think like you're thinking, Gary, but you're going to have the wine tasters ask for it too. And to me, that would be okay, but I don't think that works with the city, having a thing.
I think that
They have those, if they used to.
they still do. But
Well, just administratively though, I mean, there is a cost to, I mean, I'm assuming that's why we charge the fee we do. I mean, because it does require prep, it does require cleanup. I mean, you know, it's
Utilities
something that, I philosophically, I agree with you. But, you know, to me, if we're gonna do that, then we gotta just get rid of the fee across the board. Or I think what you said, make it a city-sponsored event, then we'll just hand it off to Parks, Trails, and Recreation. And you guys manage cleanup.
This
and
would be
prep.
city events and volunteers.
yeah, I mean, I am
old.
I think that they would
And
clean
not
up
only-
after themselves, and then we already pay for somebody to come and clean up the
But
building
9
once in a
times
while.
out of 10, Carrie, I get a phone call. We can't get in the building. How do we open this? How do we do that?
Jody's nightmare.
Is the,
But if that was in the daytime, you'd be here.
Sometimes.
yeah, but we also have other meetings.
I mean, they would schedule it when it was.
So
on
we're
the
not
calendar.
talking about, I mean, you're
We're
talking,
talking like 10 to 12 or 10 to 12 or 11 to 1 once a month.
Or from
And we
4
would
to
just look
8.
at the schedule and they would pick the date that worked for you and then they would do all the work. They would advertise and invite people and they would organize it and they would do their games and they would bring their food and we don't have to do anything with it other than say on the calendar, this is Senior Citizen Day or whatever they're going to call it.
I like it in theory. I worry about adding something else to Jody's plate.
the hardest part.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I mean, I
we
guess.
weren't gonna vote on it tonight
No,
anyway, so
no.
you brought it up and I think that the discussion is worth having, so.
I
Thanks
think
for-
probably a great approach would be, have them come present something if they're so passionate about it.
And I don't want to seem insensitive, but I mean, when we're talking $20 an hour, that's also
That'd be
not,
$40 a month.
yeah, I mean, that's,
That can be a lot for a senior citizen.
if they're pooling it, if they're, collectively, charging, some sort of.
Depends on where you live in town, I guess.
Well, I just mean that, I mean, so either the entire city bears the cost of this group or they bear the cost of their own meeting. In my opinion, it's better that they bear the cost of their own meeting.
Well, I think it comes back again, we're trying to spread that penny as far as it goes, and philanthropy, we're not there. We're not in the philanthropy business, and so we've just gotta
I'll
You
give
gotta
them
be
the
careful on what
option
we
to
draw
come and
those.
give a presentation. If they think it's not worth it, then they'll just do something else.
Okay.
One other thing, Mayor, that I did, I just got a text back from the county commissioner, so Commissioner Gordon, and he's going to look into those. What
Potholes.
what potholes?
I
to
just
get
sent him
filled, so-
something too.
Oh,
He got it from
nice.
both of
So-
us.
Great. Thank you.
The best time to get our potholes filled is when somebody's running for reelection. If
Well,
we've
he's
used that-
not, right?
We've used, no, he
He's
just got on,
fresh.
but that's when we traditionally have gotten a few potholes fixed.
All right. Well, with that, let's adjourn the work session and we can meet.
Oh, Corbett.
Oh,
You want to talk about the building?
yeah. That would be worth talking about right now. Hit it.
So downstairs, the floor drain, when the building was built, the floor drain was not continuously supported. Well, over time, the floor drain is broke. It was plastic, but the floor drain is broke. This past, before Mike left, one of his jobs was cleaning out the floor drain. When he cleaned it out, we couldn't get the grates back into it. And it just kept going from there. Well, the floor is just falling apart. It's disintegrating. Almost like I had Ted look at it with me today. I called Geneva. They've got an engineer that's hopefully going to come up tomorrow and look at it and give us an idea of how extensive it is. But we could be looking at a floor replacement downstairs
Which part?
where the orange truck and the vac truck is.
And so, Chris, I know that you weren't apprised of that either. So Corbett told me right before this meeting. So
Yeah, I'm just
We'll
choking
have
over
to-
here.
I'm sorry.
I said, I'm just choking over here. That won't be cheap.
Yeah. So it's not something that we have in our the budget that will be presented tonight. So
When the question is, do we put the boiler system, do we rerun all that heat down there or just go forced air?
yeah.
We're gonna be digging it all up.
And then there's also the question that Corbett and I talked about. I mean, yeah, it's in bad shape. My driveway's in bad shape, but it may not be bad shape needing replacement this year. I mean, so I think that I mean, it'll be difficult to make budgetary decisions without knowing how much a full replacement would cost or knowing, maybe what kind of additional life we can get out of the existing floor.
And how would we have additional life with because that's where two big pieces of heavy equipment are stored. That can't add to keeping it stable, can it?
Right. No, I mean, it's obviously something that's got to be addressed, but it's just a question of, is it an immediate need or is it
Okay.
something that could be, a year or two out? And I don't have an answer for that.
So-
It's got to be done before winter. I mean, the floor drain, all we have right now is the floor slopes to an opening in the hole. I'd be afraid. We'd get in so much trouble if we got caught draining oil and anything off of trucks, salt, and just dumping it into the ground underneath the building.
Right. And so then there's the consideration, I mean, can we patch the drain and make the drain functional without doing an entire floor replacement? And again, I don't know, Corbett, he went all biblical on me and said, you don't put new wine in old bottles, and that's true. But it's something that at least has to be looked at as an option.
So we have you said you'd have engineering coming. So Ted came and looked at it, and then is somebody who specifically trained in this type of thing?
Geneva Concrete, an engineer from Geneva Concrete.
Okay.
Is that where we got the concrete in the first place?
I have no idea.
Is it under warranty?
No.
Faulty concrete?
So is the concrete thick enough to hold those big trucks and is it going to be salted enough to have snow or salt on it? I mean, are we just going to cause more trouble later?
I mean, just off the cuff, that could be one of the problems, that it never got sealed. And so the salt that comes off the trucks just is eating the concrete. I don't know. I don't know if it was the quality of the concrete, if it was the salt that's been affecting the concrete. No idea.
But doesn't concrete have to be a certain thickness to hold big vehicles? I know. it
Oh,
has
yeah.
to-
I mean, but the slab downstairs is probably 5 inches thick, which is more than enough. So until we get something back until we have somebody look at it that knows what they're looking at, aside from it's just concrete, then, and why it's doing what it's doing, I don't have any answers, but I'm not encouraged by what I see.
And so I don't know, Chris, if you have a recommendation as to how we approach the budget presentation in light of this new information, but that's where we are.
Yeah, it's so it's going to be concrete there. There's going to be a road washing out here. I mean, we just have to kind of take everything in stride and get the prices and just see where we're going to shuffle. It could be what, 20,000, it could be 80,000. I think that'd be hard to budget right now.
All right. Well, on that cheery note,
What happened to our yard sale? Can we have a yard sale?
well, Wayne has put together
That could pay
a
for it.
disposition. Yeah, it could certainly help.
Of course it is.
All right, let's reconvene at 7:10.
Okay.
All right, too much information.
On that case, will you give the prayer?
I'd be happy to.
All right. We'll call this meeting to order.
Tell Tamara.
Filthy minds. I was just thinking of sleep.
Well, obviously we weren't.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Hilliard, would you lead us in the pledge, and Councilmember Pratt, will you walk with you? Okay.
I will.
Repeat with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here tonight. We're grateful for our city. We are so grateful for the protection that we've had as we've experienced our snow melt. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have to work on the city's business. We pray that that would bless us in our discussions tonight, that we might be civil and be an example to our citizens of how to have good discourse. We pray also that we'll be thorough, making sure that we understand the things that are before us. And we ask for this and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Do we have anyone here that would care to make public comment? And do we have anyone online? That's basically either Ben or Brian, so neither of you have anything to say. We'll close the public comment portion of our meeting and move on to item 8, consent agenda, city council meeting minutes, April 11, 2023.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Hilliard to approve those minutes,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Malkovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 9, presentation of the 2024 fiscal year budget.
Yes.
Me, and I will now turn the time over to Chris.
Oh, thank you. Jody, can you let me share? This could go relatively quickly just based off of what we talked about last time. But Corbett, you got my brain going 100 miles an hour right now with trying to find potential pots of money. Are you thinking of replacing the whole concrete or just like sections of it? We just need maybe 2,000 here or 2,000 there.
Ted mentioned that chances are we're going to end up replacing 6 panels or 6 sections of that slab downstairs. So you're talking, you know, those are 100 square or 10 by 10 panels or 10 by 10 sections each. You're talking, you know, 600 square feet.
Is there a way just to do partial and just test it out and see?
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot more time and labor in it, only because once you cut it, you can patch you can cut the tubing and patch the tubing, and then pour the concrete. But if we're going to try to see how far, I mean, it looks bad. It really does. It's cracking quite a bit. But until we get this engineer from Geneva Concrete to come and look at it, I wouldn't dare say, but I'm going to guess worst case, and we could be replacing 600 or 800 square feet downstairs.
I have a question. So I haven't had a lot of time to look at this because we just got it a little bit ago, but I mean, we've seen it before, but there was 35,000 for an auger or something. Do we need that?
Well, we don't need it, but it would help in salt storage, but that might be an area that.
I'm just wondering if, do we need it? And if we don't, could we transfer it maybe to roads? And then if we need it for the cement,
And isn't it,
that would be some money to go. I know we need it everywhere, right? I know that, but
wasn't the intent of the auger was so that we could have more sand there, salt brought in when it's dry, so it's not so expensive when we have, we can get more because, so it saves us, it's expense up front, but it saves us from not having to have multiple rounds of wet salt coming, which is more expensive.
Which we only need to buy when we buy it when it's dry, but
Right.
like this last year, we had to buy wet because we ran out. So
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna try to speak for you, Corey, but my understanding is that the idea was if we got the auger, we could pile it higher, and I mean, it's non-perishable, so we could store it indefinitely, but it's not a critical item.
I'm just wondering if the cement issue this is a critical item, and that may not cover all of it, but maybe.
So I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think it's a really smart idea. I think what we ought to do is just kind of leave things the way they are for now, because we can always open up the budget and move that money around once we have more information on what it's actually going to cost. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
No, that does make sense. Chris was asking kind of ideas.
Where do I get money?
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great suggestion, and not that I want to view that as the sacrificial lamb, but that seems like one of the less pressing.
I would assume so. I mean,
Did you hear that, Chris?
I can't hear you. Who's speaking?
Jody just mentioned, could part of it come from water? And, you know, half of it from water and half of it from roads.
Yes. Yep.
Makes sense.
Well, I mean, and we'll do what we have to do. I mean, so I think that if it turns out to be a big expense and something that is a DEFCON, what is DEFCON 5, right? I haven't seen War Games in a while, so. But if it turns out to be something like that, then, I mean, we'll have to take it from wherever we can and just make priorities.
That's why you guys get paid the big bucks.
Yeehaw.
That's not in the budget.
The big bucks.
Yeah.
All right, well, Chris, with that, I suppose the floor is yours.
Great. Just a couple changes from the discussion last time. If it's okay, I'll just talk about those real quick. And if you guys have had any additional thoughts. I did go ahead and move the money from the fire department savings that they've been saving up for the truck, brought it back in to reduce the liability, or excuse me, to reduce the amount we need from property taxes by $110,000. So what that does, instead of needing to raise property taxes by 24%, we're going to be closer to 11 to 14%. And I'm thinking it's going to be closer to the 11 side. But I want to give a little range just in case. So by doing that, that really helped bring down the certified tax potential rate increase.
Now we have more debt.
We'll have more debt with the fire truck. Correct. Looks like interest rates are going to be running right about 4.55, somewhere right around there. And Mayor, I don't know if I can't remember if I sent you a text earlier or Jody, but since the fire truck's going to be ready about the 13th of June, we need to get a resolution passed by the board to go ahead and authorize debt. And if we can put that on the last meeting of this month, I should have all the paperwork by then for that.
So Chris, one of the things you're telling us is with this budget, for sure, we have to have a truth in taxation. Can we suggest, kind of look at our schedules and suggest that, since you have to put it into the county?
Yeah, that'd be great. The
now?
sooner the better, so we can beat all the school
Yeah,
districts.
so that we kind of are all on the same page of what day that's going to be.
Yeah.
I like it towards the end of our second meeting, just because people are back from vacation because school's back in. So, and I know
We used
you
to
have to
have
have
to
it in August.
We used to have
So,
to do it early in August, but now we have till September 1.
yeah,
to
so
actually
I
have-
thought if we did it on our meeting on the 22nd of August, that's our regular council meeting. And then people are back in school. So if citizens want to come, it's not like we're trying to do it when they're on vacation still.
Once you give me an alternate date, just in case that's already taken by somebody else, I doubt it.
Maybe anytime that week.
Well, what about, my only concern about that is, I just remember being a parent. And that's a crazy week.
Or the second week.
So I was thinking the second week of August. Same idea,
Or-
just maybe a little earlier.
I think a lot of people are still coming back from their vacations in the first part. So I like to do it once school has started, which I think it starts the 15th or 16th. So I would say the third or the fourth week. If we have clear till September 1st, I mean, that gives us 10 days from the 21st to the 31st.
So that gives you, you have to have a truth and taxation and then also vote on the budget by September 1.
Mhm.
I believe you can vote on it the same night, but not sure that.
Yeah, that's why I was just saying the 22nd, I thought would be a good day to have it. Or,
But then they come back and have a budget vote potentially another day before September 1. So you want to have a third council meeting?
we can't vote on it the same night? I thought, oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we could do it the 8th, the truth and taxation, and then a budget hearing on the 22nd of August. Or we can hold it, you can do as many meetings as you'd like.
because I think school starts back up the 15th or 16th. That's why I thought not that week. That is the get everybody back.
The week before is pretty hectic.
Yeah, because the week, that week of the 8th is when everybody's just finishing up or trying to get ready for school. That's why I suggested the 22nd. Kind of
Yeah.
things have calmed down and
But it would necessitate then a third council meeting in August, so.
even if it was just though a special one, just to have one thing on the agenda, the vote and nothing else.
Yeah. For me, I think that it's worth it to just do it on the 8th. I mean, there's not gonna be an ideal time any
Yeah.
week. And I'd rather not hold a third council meeting. No offense to anyone here.
Well, that it does add our
Let's take it.
expenses, right? When
I'm
we
just
have another
adding.
meeting, all of our staff have to be here for that, and that costs us more. So
Yeah.
No, it's the 8th.
Is.
Yeah.
She might have to steal the microphone back from Corbett. I didn't hear what she was saying.
She's just saying the 8th or the 22nd.
Oh, okay.
I vote for the 8th. We're not voting, but
I just worry
vote for
that
the
if
8th.
citizens, because this is going to be a big increase and if they want to come and
If they,
if they're
if
out
they
of
want to
town,
come, they'll come, I think.
well, or I guess they could submit their things, but a lot of
And
people,
there's no
it's
reason
really
to
hectic
assume-
that week.
Yeah.
All the,
But then again, for some, that might be an ideal week. I mean,
Mhm.
it's hard to speak for everybody.
mhm.
But given the deadline, I would also, my vote is for the 8th.
Okay.
But do I get to make that decision? Or,
yeah.
I'd
Okay.
support that making.
Well,
It's
Chris
ultimately
has
the
to put
county.
it
You
into.
schedule the agenda, so
Well,
yeah, you get.
Okay.
But technically, Chris has to go with the county. It has to be the county's calendar. So if that day is taken, we have to pick a different day.
okay, well, so subject to the 8th being available, let's plan on that.
So we could do the 8th, 9th, 10th. You just want to try and keep it that week. So only have one council meeting,
Yes,
planning commission or something else, Jody.
Yes, no,
Okay,
you're good.
okay. I'm emailing them right now so we can try and get our name in there first.
great, thank you.
Well, this is assuming that you guys are going to hold a truth and taxation. You don't have to. We can cut away from the budget and get rid of stuff and not have a tax rate and get rid of a snowplow truck or get rid of a fire truck or fire 4 employees or something like that.
Bye. No, just kidding.
Hey,
Yeah.
woo, see ya. That was easy.
That was a joke.
We've already gotten rid of 3. We've done quite well.
Yeah, did you hear
Gosh.
I'm mowing the lawns now, Chris?
That's right.
Oh, me and Sherry Berger, we're gonna be out there.
Bootstrap.
I'm making her pull the weeds.
Yeah, get on the new lawnmower. That's the best job.
I know. Put my AirPods in. Drive around.
It's a small park. It'll be fine.
Forrest Gump.
Push more, use what you need.
Well, so that was basically it. And then just move the salt. took a little bit of salt from and put it into salaries, but it doesn't really matter because it's within the same group and the mayor can move that around, but plausibly just, I'll get down here real quick. So snow plowing just moved, instead of 60 did 50, but put the 10 up here in salaries. And that was basically all the suggestions that I had. And thank you, Jody, for keeping notes because I have misplaced my notes. So thank you. Those were the changes. Any other things I can help with or answer questions or take them?
Just find another 14% of revenue.
I'm feeling lucky. I live next to Mesquite now. So just let me know.
Yeah.
Bad on red.
Take a big chunk of red,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe it's black. I don't remember. One of them is a bigger winner.
Earl did good at the Super Bowl, so maybe he could come down too. So
Yeah, I could donate my Super Bowl winnings.
All right. Well, so, I mean, and I don't believe that this was a rushed process. I mean, we already talked at our so-called retreat about most items, but.
Yeah, we had a good look at it before. We're good.
yeah, you guys
So-
are really, you betted this one out. The other thing, so here's what we need to do then. Next, Jody, whenever we can get the 10 or 14 days in there, let's advertise this. This is kind of a nebulous thing in the state, and Carrie and I have gone back and forth, and Jody and I have gone back and forth, and our former attorney has written a paper, but there's a couple different conflicting rules and laws within the state of Utah that we either have to adopt a physical budget for next year, even though we're doing the truth and taxation, or we need to adopt a temporary budget so the city can still operate July 1 till the time you guys vote on a new budget, or we don't do anything and we just pretend to go and knowing we're having truth and taxation. I would prefer to have a public hearing, which we're going to have anyways.
Yeah.
And you guys vote on a temporary budget, giving basically the city authorization to operate from July until the time you vote on another budget. And then we redo the budget in August or before September 1.
I agree with that. Voting like our last meeting in June to adopt this as a temporary budget. I guess we could do it now. We don't have to wait till June, but
I would recommend doing it the same day because we got to advertise. So
Yeah.
as soon as we can. say
oh
we
yeah,
just-
because we have to have a public hearing on it to adopt it. So yeah, have a public hearing and then adopt, and then put it on the end of June to have that public hearing before it ends.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd wait till the end of June. If we can do it sooner, let's just do it. And get
Or
it-
the first meeting in June,
Okay.
the 13th, any time.
Okay, so Jody, you have that then calendar.
And then I don't know if we need an official vote, Jody, I can't remember, to authorize me to go ahead and start the truth and taxation process. But we'll find that out. and Maybe have to put that on the next agenda, just so you guys can do a formal vote, unless we can. I actually, I think we can do it under the title we're doing right now.
Yeah,
We're
I
talking
think
about
so.
next budget.
It can be a voting item to put it, to let you go forward with that part.
And since I've already emailed the county on that, I hope I've got authority to do that. So thanks.
I
Chris?
think everybody's going to have a truth and taxation. Almost everyone I've talked to said that they are the same, they're in the same boat we are. So, and that's going to be hard for, depending on what the school districts decide to do this summer, because that really hits us when they raise theirs and then we're raising ours and we already have. other
Nebo School
things
District
raising.
already has big projects going though, so I can't see them starting another, because they're rebuilding Payson High and
Spanish Fork High, Springville High. But what they do is when they don't say, here's a bond for a new project. They have a bond, and as soon as it's going to run out, they hurry and get another, so it just continues. They don't really stop one and start another. They just merge them, so it keeps going.
Chris, do
My
we-
concern with the school district is the utility rates. The WPU they
Yeah.
raise here is not gonna, the percentage isn't gonna cover the utility rates alone.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
especially
be.
if they go up another 60%, right?
Oh,
Supposedly
Is that
are.
happening?
They say that it is, but
Well, they're adjusting, the power cost adjustment is becoming monthly. So, I mean, it will be reflected in people's utilities.
yeah, power rate adjustment every month. You have no clue of what your bill's going to be. Even if your lights are all off and you're sitting in the dark.
All the time.
I know, us too.
I mean,
And
and
the
that's,
next-
that's part of it is trying to adjust behaviors. I mean, that's,
And the next 5 years are supposed to be a declination of kids enrolling in schools just because of the people just aren't having babies as much. So that'll be interesting dynamic to see how that's going to shape up with raising property taxes to keep buildings open, or are they going to start consolidating? And
Well, that's what's happening in Alpine, right? And they're trying to close 5 schools because they don't have enough people, and the parents are suing the district for closing the schools, even though they don't have operating expenses to keep them open.
Parents. Those
Jeez.
parents.
Okay, well,
Better schools, better to sue the district than to come after the cities.
yeah,
Amen.
keep the heat on them. Okay, well, if there's no further questions or discussions, then, so this is just a presentation, right? There's no,
now, can you authorize me to go ahead and start the truth and taxation process?
okay, so.
We need a
we got
motion to do that.
to-
I'll motion to give Chris the authority to start the truth and taxation process.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Malkovich,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Lunt.
Doesn't mean I want
All
it, but
in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
And just remember, this isn't binding. Nothing's binding until August when you guys say yes. So everything up until that time is just gathering information and seeing what it's really going to do. And as soon as I find out from the state what our tax rates are going to be, I will get that out to you. So everybody has that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. All right, well, with that, then unless someone, and I hope no one wants to enter closed session, but without that being the case, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn by Councilmember Pratt,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Kinnison. All in favor?
I.
Any opposed? Adjourn.
Nope.